All right, everybody, welcome back into another edition of the Modcast, auburnlive.com. Appreciate everybody for joining us. Jeffrey Lee, I am Justin Hokanson. All right, we got a good one this week. We'll find out a little bit of something, huh?
Find out a little bit more than we did last week, although I enjoyed last week. I thought the Alabama A&M game was fantastic. I know the competition level was poor, but as I said before, what would Alabama have done? What would Georgia have done? What would that score have looked like? And I think it would be something similar. Now, I'm not comparing Auburn to Alabama or Georgia, but Auburn did what they supposed to do, what we expect them to do when they play a team like Alabama A&M. Look good doing it.
Yeah, I got out of hand quick. It was kind of the one thing I was like, I would like to see a little bit of execution and not many big plays, and that is exactly what happened. They only ran like 40-something plays in the game. I mean, Auburn barely had the ball. They had the ball like 18 minutes, and they had 600 yards.
Yeah, Alabama A&M was really bad.
Way overmatched.
Really bad.
All right, we'll talk a little bit about that game. We'll talk about Cal. We'll talk about the point spread, what we expect, all that good stuff. But before we do that, let's talk about Prize Picks.
Prize Picks. I'll tell you what, Justin, I had a big week last week. Last week with Prize Picks. First of all, every week they give you a free square. When I say a free square, you're picking almost like a parlay. You're picking two or three squares to go more or less. You're picking more or less. And this week's basically it's free squares. Caleb Williams. So you go to Caleb Williams in the NFL, you pick more. I think his more or less is 0.5 yards. So if he completes a forward pass, that's a free square for you. I took advantage of that last week. I hit Shedeur Sanders. I hit Travis Hunter. So had a good week, man. Prize Picks. If you're not familiar with Prize Picks is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform. The easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy. It's just you against the numbers instead of battling thousands of other players and stuff and pros and sharks. You just pick more or less. There's a line set. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in as I did. It's the most fun I've had. It really is. It's the most fun. You can win up to 100 times your money, and you just select 2 or more players, like I said, and you test those skills. You got quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes Prize Picks number one. This week, I've got a couple of guys I'm keeping an eye on. I've already selected a couple, but let me finish this out because they have a great promo. They have a great promo. You can go to Prize Picks and use the promo code Auburn Live. And that will get you. Here's the Caleb Williams stuff. You can sign up today. Use the promo code Auburn Live. Get $50 instantly when you play $5. So you don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. So just plug in your promo code Auburn Live. You get $50 added to your account instantly. Like I said, this week, Caleb Williams passing yard gets you a 1 win on Prize Picks every week in September. So they're going to use that Caleb Williams square for every week in September. 4 weeks of free dubs. Don't miss the deal on Prize Picks. Go to Prize Picks. Or download the app and use the promo code Auburn Live, and that will get you $50 once you play $5 in lineups. Prize Picks. No Auburn flavor this week. You know, they tend to focus more on the bigger games, which I thought Auburn might have. You know, a Peyton Thorne line or a Jarquez Hunter line, but nothing this week. Although I have, let me see what I've taken. Let me tell you what I've taken, Justin.
Okay.
I've taken Shedeur Sanders to pass for more than 1.5 touchdowns.
Seems pretty safe.
I thought that was a good one. I've got Travis Hunter. Do you think he scores a touchdown against Nebraska?
Yeah, gosh, yeah. If he doesn't, they're in trouble.
Yeah, so his line is 0.5, so it's either 0 or 1. Do you think he's going to score a touchdown? If so, that's a free square for you. Jimmy Horn. I watched Colorado last week. I like watching Shedeur Sanders throw the football. I do. Jimmy Horn, I thought stood out to me as far as Colorado did. He's really good. I've got him going more than 70.5 receiving yards. And then I also use that Caleb Williams free square. So I've got 4 of those, and I've risked $20, and if I hit on all 4 of those, it pays $140.
Ooh.
So I thought I thought that's a pretty. And listen, the more plays you have, the the more multiply your risk will be. I've got 4. You could have went 2. You could have taken Caleb Williams and just taken Shador Sanders 1.5 or more than 1.5 touchdowns. Anyways, I like it. I have fun.
Prize picks, that'd be good. All right, let's talk about this game a little bit.
Let's do.
Auburn's pretty healthy. Austin Keys played in that first game, looked pretty good. Keontae looked pretty good. Those were kind of the 2 dudes who were a little bit banged up going into the opener. They both played and looked pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah Rakes didn't play, but was fully dressed. So it was kind of looked like one of those things where if they, if it would have been a bigger game, he probably would have gone. So he looks like he'll be good to go. So health-wise, I think they're in good shape. We've seen some stuff about Jay Crawford. I don't know. We'll see Saturday.
Right.
And so we'll see about that. But other than that, they look pretty healthy. Jaden Ott for Cal is iffy, probable. I mean, he'll probably play, but got a little banged up in the opener, so might not be 100%. So that certainly would help Auburn. Same defensive coordinator, same type of defense, completely different offense, different offensive coordinator, a little more tempo, a little more spread. Than maybe what you saw last year. Man, my opinion on this game really hasn't changed since earlier in the week, which is like I think Auburn's going to come out and I think they're going to take care of business. Like I think the spread's 13. I have Auburn covering. By no means this isn't because of the Alabama A&M game. I didn't watch that game and all of a sudden think Auburn's a juggernaut. It's not. It's really not that. I think Auburn's clearly better. I think if you look at last year's game, Auburn turned the ball over 4 times and played like crap on offense and still won. Like whatever, they found a way to win. So, at home, different offense, don't turn the ball over 4 times. I just think like Auburn will come out kind of still with their hair on fire a little bit, trying to prove some stuff. So like I still think, maybe it's 31-14. I don't know that I'll go more than 31. I mean, Cal's defense is not bad. They got a couple of good defensive ends. Like they're not a slouch defense. I'm not saying they're a juggernaut, but they're not garbage either. So I mean, I think if you put up 31 or 34 in game 2, I think you'd be pretty happy depending on how it goes. But I'm still thinking like 31-14. I think they can cover this game. I know it's kind of that litmus test game, but yeah, you want to see big jump from last year. You don't want to see it sort of similar last year. That would worry you.
No.
But
no.
I do. I don't know. I'm not.
I'm right there with you, dude. I've got it 35-17.
Yeah.
I think Auburn built some confidence last week against A&M. I think Peyton Thorne's got some confidence. Not that they didn't in fall camp, but being able to do it in fall camp with your receivers and these new guys, and then being able to go out in front of 86,000, another team, and be able to do that. I thought the confidence is there. I love the play calling. I think Auburn's going to be much more explosive. I'm just going off of the play calling really last week. Liked what I saw. I thought Hugh Freeze is going to go for jugulars a lot more than maybe Philip Montgomery did. But the Cal game is hard for me to like. I'll never forget that game. It was one of the worst, if not the worst, Auburn football games I've ever seen. And like you said, they somehow won. They had no business winning that football game last year. It was awful. It was awful. It was maybe I need to go back. I don't want to watch it again.
Oh gosh, no.
It was. I was watching it with my dad, and I remember going, man, like this is awful. It was so bad. I would like to look at the stats, maybe later. But anyways, let's forget that. This Cal game, like you said, the Ott guy coming in, he's pretty good. He's pretty damn good. But I like everything. Everything lines up for an Auburn. I don't feel like this game should be. I don't want to say close, but I don't think there should be any doubts about it. I don't think Auburn fans should be worried at any point during this game. This is just my belief. I think Auburn should be in control. They should be in control throughout the game. Solid game. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to turn the football over. They're going to have penalties. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. but I do feel like Auburn should be in control of this game. They should come out victorious. They should cover that line of 13. I think 35-17. You said 31-14. I think anywhere in that wheelhouse is where it should be, where we expect it to be. I want to see more of Jarquez Hunter. We didn't get to see a lot of the run game last week, and that was by design. I even put in my prediction like the run game can wait. Auburn needs to work on the passing game against Alabama A&M, and they did. Hell, they did. Holden Garner threw 2 passes. They're up 73-70, whatever it was, and he's still throwing passes. So I think this week you're going to see more balanced attack and see what Jarquez Hunter, see that revamped offensive line. Cole's not here for those listening. He's having technical difficulties. Seriously, the computer crashed on him. But curious to hear what Cole thinks about the offensive line and how they did against A&M, and we've already heard him in his Pink's perspective. So curious to see how they shake it out, how they use those guys, where Tyler Johnson is. Does Percy Lewis get in there? Too Tall, Jeremiah Wright. We saw a lot of underclassmen last week. Don't think we'll see that many this week, but always interesting to see what Auburn's going to do in this game.
Yeah, I think Tyler Johnson, I mean, it looked like he played well. I mean, I put a little bit of stock into Pro Football Focus. I reference it. I think they do a decent job. I wouldn't say it's the gospel, but I think they do probably a pretty good job for the most part. And he was the highest graded lineman on Auburn's team for sure. They thought he played pretty well. Percy Lewis only played 9 snaps. So I think it's pretty clear Tyler's going to be the guy. I mean, just the way Hugh Freeze had talked about him and Jake Thornton, sort of like he's coming on, and go back a few weeks when Hugh Freeze was like, we're glad to have Tyler Johnson back healthy. It was almost a way of saying like, we need him to come on because Percy's maybe not quite getting there. So that was great to see. I bet you Cal will be a good test because Hugh Freeze talked about Cal having a pair of really good defensive ends. He said their defensive ends could play in this league. Like, they're good. So Tyler Johnson will get tested. Xavier Miller will get tested, but hopefully get through this game and that's your line with Tyler Johnson out there at tackle and feel good about that. Peyton Thorne had all day to throw. So, I mean, this is that game where you just see a few more things. A few more things are going to go wrong.
Right.
How do the young receivers handle it if they run a wrong route or if they drop a ball or maybe it's not quite as easy? It's just kind of that first test where you're going to have some adversity.
A little pushback.
And you'll kind of see the growth of the team's more talented, but like you'll see, maybe the maturity or the kind of the mental like growth, like how developed are they in that aspect? Can they go right past that and control the game start to finish? Those are the things I would love to see because that's what it's going to take to win big games. You can't just be talented. You got to be out there and be a pro. You know what I mean? I guess there's no way other to say it, like be a professional.
And of course, the defense. I am extremely excited to see how this defense fares against a competent offense. I want to see more Malik Blockton.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
he flashed a little bit.
He flashed. He flashed. And the defensive line, Jalen McLeod, we didn't really get to see a lot of him because, well, there was really no it wasn't like Alabama A&M was, dropping back and having time.
Mm-hmm.
The linebackers, the secondary. Who's going to be your starting corners?
Yeah, I guess you're at Kayan and Keontae. I mean, that'll be interesting. If Jay Crawford, again, we don't know, but like if he's not available, Champ Anthony was a little banged up last week, but I think he's fine. So he'll play more. We saw a little bit of Antonio Kite. Freeze thought he played well. I thought he was okay.
I hear you.
Who else did we see? JC Hart, man, that was a tough play. Letting that ball go through his hands. So he'll get there. But man, they throw a lot of guys. I mean, Amon Langanis played a bunch.
Yeah.
Like first few games, these DBs are going to get a bunch of. I keep saying about the secondary, just get through the first 3 or 4 games before Oklahoma. Get tested, throw yourself out there and just don't give up anything big. Like, just can we get through the first 3 or 4 games where the secondary and some of those younger guys get thrown into the fire, but at the same time, don't give up a big play, kind of like JC Hart did, although he was in good position. That was unfortunate, but just get through the first games of maybe making a few mistakes, but nothing that costs you the game or some big play, and I'll feel pretty good about it. Malik Blockton, I do want to see more of him. I'm really curious the defensive side of the ball right now, because I came away from Alabama A&M, and I don't know that you look at the stats. I mean, Alabama A&M was like 2 of 16 on third down. They rushed the ball for 1 yard a carry. I mean, you look at the stats and you're like, this was complete and utter domination. But I don't know if it was they didn't force any turnovers. They didn't, kind of like what Hugh Freeze said, they didn't really collapse the pocket a bunch. They had some tackles for loss, a couple sacks where the quarterback scrambled, but they were just destroying the pocket. So there's a couple things that, I don't know, I came away kind of thinking, I think the defense is good, but I didn't come away thinking they're really good or even great. And maybe I'm being too hard on them. Maybe I'm not looking at it right, but I'm curious to see this week. I mean, Cal's not. They're going to throw it around. Their quarterback will sling it. He'll take some chances. They'll go up tempo a little bit. And so I think they'll be tested in some ways. I'm really curious to see more of I may have more questions about the defense. Not saying they're going to be terrible. I don't know what kind of unit. Is that unit the 8th best unit in the league? Are they the 6th or 5th best unit in the league? I don't know. And I'm curious to see more about them Saturday.
That was kind of my point earlier when I said that about Jalen McLeod, is that now I think he finished with 5 tackles. I think he might have even been the team leader in tackles.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But he just didn't. When I saw that, I was like, "Oh wow, really? Did I miss something?" Like, he didn't, as you said, flash. It wasn't like he was, pressuring the quarterback. And of course, there was 2 of 16 on third downs, so they were doing something right. But like you said, the pocket wasn't collapsing. They weren't harassing. He just didn't flash to me. But then you look at the stat sheet, and I think he had 5 tackles, a team high 5 tackles. Keldrick Falk had a sack. Want to see more from him. My thing on the defense, we saw so many young guys play. I want to see how much of that was like, are they really going to contribute this year, or was it novelty time versus A&M? Because we saw a lot of guys in there on defense, a lot of guys in the backfield, the defensive backfield.
Mm-hmm.
So, how much time are they going to play? How much contributions? How big of a contribution are they going to make, truthfully, this year? And I think we'll get to see a little bit more of that. I want to see who's going to make difference against Cal. Who's going to be in there to make a difference against Cal? I think it's going to be more of a litmus test for that than novelty time against A&M. That makes any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, it looks like, I'm trying to look at it. It looks like 20, maybe I might be missing one. It looks like about 26 guys recorded a tackle.
Wow.
On Saturday. I took out look what might be a couple of special teams tackles. And then maybe 28 guys on defense recorded a stat. Kayan Lee didn't have a tackle but had a pass breakup. Jay Crawford had a pass breakup, but it looks like 26 guys maybe had at least one tackle. So a ton of guys played. But yeah,
it's almost easier to look at the roster and go, who didn't?
Yeah, they played a ton of guys on defense. Robert Woodyard right there with 4 tackles. Like, can he put together another good game? Like,
who was that?
Get over the hump. Robert Woodyard.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. He flashed to me. He was everywhere. Yeah. Him and Mausi.
Yeah, he played well. 3 tackles, a couple of tackles for loss.
Those 2 guys at linebacker.
Tackles for loss.
What did Bobby Travis end up with?
I don't think they recorded him with a tackle. Now, of course, he started, but that's because Rakes wasn't in. I would expect Rakes to start. We just heard too much about Isaiah Rakes in the fall. If he's healthy, he's got to be starting. I would be surprised. And then Bobby Travis comes off the bench. That's a guy that I'm curious to see, man. Rakes, like, he if you built a nose tackle, he's going to look like Isaiah Rakes. And we heard a bunch of good stuff in fall camp. He knows Durkin's defense. He just feels like maybe he'll be what we thought maybe Jason Jones could be. Like, I think Rakes could actually be like just I mean, we've heard players talk about him like he's a mean, nasty, violent guy.
Okay.
And even when we talked to him in the media once, um he came off just kind of real matter of fact. Just kind of like his answers were, I mean, he just came off like a serious dude who's trying to go out there and get after it. So I'm really, really curious to see, because that interior defensive line. I just want to see more, and he could be the guy. He could be an X factor. Like, I think we know what Falk's capable of. The interior wise, he could be an X factor on what this team could do and what this defense could be if he's truly like a handful, and he has to be doubled a decent amount of times. Man, that changes a lot. I really hope he's everything that we think he can be. That's a big one to watch Saturday.
What was Trill Carter's line last week?
I think he had a tackle. Let's see. I saw
You
his
got it
name.
handy. Yeah.
He had where is he at? I'm almost positive I thought I saw his name. I know he committed a penalty. He had a tackle.
That's it.
And he had a
So
penalty.
we caught Vontrell King Williams walking out of the stadium that night, and the reason I brought up Bobby Travis was, I just asked, quickly off the top of your head, Vontrell, who were a couple of guys that popped to you, and he said Malik Blockton and Bobby Travis, and I went and I looked at the stat line, and that's the things we don't see. Vontrell King Williams knows what Bobby Travis was supposed to be doing all game. He knows the assignments he was supposed to be fulfilling, and that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. So those were two names that I thought were interesting. That Vontrell King Williams came up at the top of his head and said Bobby Travis and Malik Blockton.
Well, to back that up, Pro Football Focus, their grades for that game, Jalen McLeod was the top rated defender. Jason Jones was actually second, played 18 snaps, and he had a hurry. Third was Bobby Travis, 27 snaps. He had an assist on a tackle. He had a quarterback hurry and a quarterback pressure. But yeah, they had him as the third rated defender in the game.
Good for Jason Jones,
good passing grades across the board. So,
man,
yeah.
Well, you're going to need him. You're going to need Trill Carter. You're going to need Isaiah Rakes. You're going to need Malik Blockton. You're going to need Jason Jones. Something that they weren't able to do last year was rotate those defensive linemen in.
Yeah,
keep them
you really
fresh.
get Marcus Harris. You got more bodies. I just really want somebody to be. I need like at least a guy that could compete for all SEC. Not even first team. Just give me somebody in the middle. Like when at the end of the season, you look at a Rakes or somebody and you go, he could make the argument to be a third team all SEC. I just need somebody.
Yeah.
Unless they're all just okay, I guess. But that just, I don't know. I would love to have a real difference maker that.
Yeah. When ballots are sent out, instead of going, well, nope, nobody, you at least want somebody that goes, you know what? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Just can then make that play when everything goes wrong. One dude could make one play and it just wrecks everything. I really would like to. That's what Marcus Harris was.
What about the safeties? We've talked about everything on the defense except for the safeties. We talked about linebacker, cornerback, defensive line. The safeties, which were Jaron Thompson.
Yeah, Jaron, Caleb.
Caleb Harris.
Camp Anthony played a little safety. Laquan played a little, but Laquan, those guys kind of mix. They play a little safety, a little nickel, depends on what
I saw Laquan get in, make a tackle while Auburn's up 70, and you thought he made a game-saving tackle.
Dude, that guy's a beast, by the way. That guy looks like he looks the part.
Yes, he does.
He will knock your head off.
Was he playing linebacker?
I mean, yeah, I guess he's at linebacker. I don't know why Pro Football Focus lists him at safety. I guess he kind of at times you're not sure. Caleb Harris got 40 snaps.
Was JC playing cornerback when he missed the interception?
Yeah.
Okay, so he was on man coverage, or
yeah, he was playing. Okay. Yeah, he was playing corner. JC Hart played 22 snaps. Kinsley Faustin played 25.
There you go, Kinsley. I forgot about him.
Amon Lane played 9. Sylvester Smith played 36
Sylvester, yeah.
snaps.
Yeah, I forgot about him.
Jay Crawford played 24. Um, Kite played 31. I mean, this is the only good thing about the offense and how the offense scored so quickly. Defense got a lot of snaps. I mean, way more than they normally would have. They dominated the game, but the way they dominated, that's a game where you would have thought you only played 50-ish snaps, but there was a lot more snaps, I think, for some of these young guys on defense to get in there. Keontae only played 13, but a lot of these DBs got 30 snaps. I mean,
Wow. Who were
they're not
the
going to get
30
that many.
plus snaps?
Yeah. I mean, a
Who were
couple
they?
of those. Well, I mean, Jay Crawford played 24. Sylvester Smith played 36. I mean, JC Hart played 22. Kinsley played 25. I mean,
Wow.
it's a pretty good number. Look, Champ Anthony played 22.
How many did Kayan play?
Caleb Harris played 40. Kayan played, where was he at? Kayan
14,
played
20?
38 snaps.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he was out there, and he actually had I don't know why they have him as a bad. Did he miss some tackles or something? They had him. Looks like
Is that the most?
they have him with pretty close. Woodyard played 42. Caleb
Okay.
Harris played 40. Amaris played 39. Lee played 38. Crawford played 38. Sylvester Smith played 36. Blockton played 31. Kite played 31.
Man, I believe all of those guys are freshmen or sophomores.
Yeah. So I mean, you had 30 guys. You had 30 players on defense play at least 10 snaps.
Wow.
It's a pretty good number.
I mean, that's that. You think about that. You got an 85 scholarship limit and you paid 30 on defense.
They got
That's
10 snaps. Everything
that's
below that was
90% of the defense.
yeah. And the guys below that were, I guess DJ Reed, I don't know, man. I guess he's just not going to pan out. I don't know, man.
Golly,
He
he didn't
played
play
3
any, did
snaps.
he?
3.
Wow,
That's kind of odd.
man. We talk about we were talking about evals and the hits that Auburn's had so far in the past 2 years, past 2 classes. He's the lone guy that you're nominating for a miss, and not just Auburn's misses. Hell, everybody wanted that kid.
Yeah.
Not that he can't change that, but to this point, he's been the biggest disappointment in the past 2 classes that I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, because that would have you figure Rake's not playing, Alabama A&M. I mean, why is he? I mean, you got to figure he's getting snaps. For him to only get 3 is not a good sign for what he might do the rest of the
Right,
year.
right. I wonder if this is also, Justin, you think about NIL and how much it's changed the transfer portal. If you're not playing 30 kids a game when you can, you might have to these days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've got to keep them happy somehow. Give them a few snaps when you can.
Man.
I don't know. That's a lot of players, and they all got significant minutes. They all got significant snaps. That's great. It's great for the future for sure. And none of them were like, oh, gosh, what's he doing in there?
Yeah. I mean, offense, you only had 20 guys play at least 10 snaps. Of course, they didn't play nearly as many. So, yeah, I want to see more of the run game. You're right. I mean,
Yes.
Damari had, Jarquez had 4 carries. Damari had like 3. So I'd love to see what those guys look like if Jarquez can get 16 and Damari can get 9, what that looks like. I mean, Peyton had another 49 yards rushing.
Who was the team high? Did he lead the team?
No, I think Jarquez
Okay.
led it barely. I think Jarquez ended up with 53 yards and a touchdown. Peyton had 49 and a touchdown.
Okay.
Cobb had 26. Austin had 12. Yeah, I mean, Jarquez had that touchdown and barely rushed the ball after that.
Speaking of hits, you look at the wide receivers too, man. That was beautiful. Wasn't it?
Man, unbelievable. I mean, to think about, there are 2 stats on that. One, there were 7 touchdown receptions from a receiver last year. There were 6 Saturday.
That's mind
That's
blowing.
And then of those 7 last year, they were by 3 receivers. Of the 6 on Saturday, they were by 5 receivers. So more receivers caught a touchdown on Saturday than last year.
Than all of last year.
Yeah. They almost tied the number of touchdowns receivers caught, but 2 more receivers caught touchdowns on Saturday than everybody on last year combined.
You know what? The only real disappointment on offense
They played 46 snaps.
was Rivaldo.
Yeah.
I mean, if and I'm using that word pretty loosely here, he dropped a pass.
An easy pass. I mean, that's your job. That's
I completely agree. That's why he's my really lone disappointment. Was there another disappointment you can think of? Like by the time Bryce Kane and who was it, Justin Jones fumbled, it was almost laughable at that point. Look, the young guys in there fumbling. I talked to Bryce on the way out. He was walking out, and I was like, he had his backpack on. I was like, "Hey man, you dropped something."
Nope.
Said, "What?" I said, "The football." Hey, he didn't think it was bad. And then Justin Jones, I think, wasn't it Justin Jones?
I think so. I missed the second one, so I guess it was him. For some reason, I couldn't remember who fumbled that second one.
But all 4 of those wide receivers, then of your freshmen, and then you think about Keandre Lambert-Smith, you think about the Cal guy, Sam Jackson. So did they bring in anybody else? Robert Lewis?
Yeah, he had 1 catch for.
I think all of the 7 newcomers at wideout had at least a catch, and hell, I think 4 of them had a touchdown.
Yeah, Malcolm, Dre, Perry, Cam, Bryce,
And
Sam, Robert, all had a catch. The only one that didn't is Camden Brown.
Yeah. So 5 of the 6 newcomers scored a touchdown. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, especially when you go back to last year, and like you said, and I thought most of those touchdowns, Sam Jackson, I thought was fantastic. I loved watching that play. But the separation that those guys had, Cam Coleman was open by 20 yards. Perry had a guy on his hip. Beautiful ball, beautiful catch. Malcolm Simmons is something else. I didn't know how good he was.
Man, he's got it. I mean, he's just got it. He's not only talented and fast, but like you watch that first play, he makes a play. He sprints back, puts the ball down, and not only that, that's something I noticed. I rewatched a little bit of the game. He catches the ball, gets tackled, knows exactly, get up, sprint back, put the ball down for the ref, and not only get in position, but he immediately gets in position and holds his arm out because he knows he needs to say, "I'm off the ball." It was just it was so fast. He didn't even think like it. Just I'm like, man, that guy's a true freshman. He sure looks like he knows what to do. I mean, he was on it. Absolutely.
Yeah, he wasn't like, well, what do I do? What do I do?
Yep.
He was there. And this is a guy who came in the summer. He wasn't here in the spring. He's been here a couple of months.
If I were buying stock, Cole asked that question on the board, and I was kind of being funny. He was like, well, of all the new receivers, who do you like? And I was like, hear me out, Cam Coleman. But for real, I was like, if I'm buying stock value, it'd be Malcolm. Absolutely. Like if you treated him like, who do I think is the best value? If you had to buy stock in Cam Coleman, you're paying through the roof, right?
Right. Yeah, right.
But Malcolm, like the ability's there, the work ethic's there. He's really smart. I mean, when we had him on the show, whatever, after that one of the scrimmages, I was thoroughly impressed at how he talked about like the play and what he was looking for. And I just loved hearing him talk about it. Seems very clear-headed. I was just really impressed. That dude is going to fly way under the radar, but probably not for long. I mean, get through Arkansas and Oklahoma and let's see. But Malcolm's is that dude of these freshmen. Perry and Cam suck up all the oxygen, but Malcolm's going to be Malcolm can be as good as he wants to be.
Mm-hmm. And he wants to be really good. But you're talking about buying the stock. Everybody's already bought stock in Cam Coleman.
Yeah.
So the stock price of that's through the roof. Not everybody's bought Malcolm Simmons yet. So it's pretty low. Buy now.
No.
Get in on the ground floor.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it'll be a really good test. Should be what would you set Peyton's? See, last week I set Peyton at 215 over under. That was obviously way low, but um, I mean, given last week, I don't know. I don't know. Things are going to come back down to earth a little bit.
Absolutely.
So I don't know, but boy, I mean, big playability. Maybe that's a tick up.
No, if it's at 215, what are you taking?
Over. I mean, I think SEC play could be different, but if these guys can make some plays out of the after the catch,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he did that on 46 plays. Jeez, he did it on 13 completions. Should have had 15. So
He's going to Freeze is going to use these wide receivers. He didn't get those guys to run the football, and I think that they're going to be huge parts of every game plan moving forward. I don't think averaging 240 for Peyton Thorne is out of the question this year. At the end of the year, I really don't, man. I think he's going to throw the football. I would take the over too. I would put it more like 245. What number would make you go? I don't know about that.
yeah, I think you could if you start getting into averaging. If we get through Oklahoma and Peyton is still averaging 240, like there were only 7 quarterbacks in the league last year that averaged over 240. No, wait, hold on. That's 24. Hold on, let me go back to last year. No, only 6 quarterbacks, and Jaden Daniels, Carson Beck, Rattler, Mertz, Jackson Dart, and Brady Cook, like the elite quarterbacks. So I mean, if and then one averaged 230, and then Milroe was only at 218. So like, it'll probably settle into 220. Would be great. I mean, considering what last year was. I mean, Peyton average last year wasn't all his fault, but I mean, he averaged 135. So. But it's hard to get the big averages. I think it'll depend, man. Like, if they can continue to make these big plays, then yeah, it'll stay up there. If the running game, it's just so hard though, man.
Well,
You
that's
want
the
to get
thing.
Jarquez and Damari involved too.
What does the game plan look like?
Yeah, it could really change. Like, it literally, this offense has got the potential to change week to week. I mean, you've got the running backs and I think a decent offensive line where you could, if you can pound it, then I think you could do it. And then I think there could be some games. So much of it depends on how the defense is going to play. If Cal's watching film going, holy smokes, like, we can't get beat over the top. Well, then all of a sudden,
Right.
the running game has a big game. I think this offense sort of makes it where it could fluctuate to some degree, where Peyton could throw for 250 and then he could throw for 180, and
Yes.
it could change a lot. I liked what Hugh talked about this week, talking about Peyton can take the hard coaching. He talked about that moment that he got all over him,
Yeah.
about protecting him and stuff, and I thought that was a fair and good moment from Freeze. Like, hey, in bigger games, I liked it. Like, I think he knows what Peyton's capable of, and he knows what's ahead. And it's just expectations for quarterbacks are through the roof. They're just higher. It's because he coaches it and he knows what needs to happen, and his expectations for the quarterback are just higher. He just gets on them more.
So the line, according to Zach in the back, is -13, over under 53.5.
So we both over 31. I'm thinking 31.
I'm at 52. So I'm taking Auburn in the under. But you know what? I wouldn't be surprised. I'm gonna be honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised to see Auburn score 40 plus. I really wouldn't.
That'd be impressive.
It would. And I think it's in them. I don't know much about Cal. I watched the highlights from last week. But I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. So if you went 35-20, you got them covering, you got them going a little bit over. I could see that, I guess. I could see that happen. I mean, Auburn's defense is sort of, to me, a little bit I don't know. Are they going to give up 20? Could they give up 14? I could see that going both ways. I could see Auburn scoring 31. I could see him scoring 38. Yeah, I think it'll be, man, if Auburn gets close to 40 in this game, I will walk away feeling really good because at the end of the day, the defense, unless I'm way off, the defense is just going to be decent this year. I don't see a
I hear
dominant
you.
defense. I
Middle of
see
the
an
pack.
okay defense, but I don't see a dominant defense. So the offense in games, in big games, offense is going to have to show the capability of going out and put up 35. So it's going to take maybe at Missouri or like A&M. A&M looked terrible on offense against Notre Dame, but Notre Dame had a good defense. Or Oklahoma. Like it's going to take 30 plus. So it'd be nice to go out there against Cal and show you can go score 35, 38. That'd be a great sign. If Auburn wins this game 24-14, I'm a little concerned.
Right.
I'm a little concerned. At home, Cal, I'm going, okay, 24. I know it's game 2, but it's going to take more than that to beat Oklahoma. It's going to take more than that to beat, obviously, Georgia and Alabama, Missouri, maybe at Kentucky. I mean, A&M's still good. I mean, it just that would concern me a little bit if you could only squeak out 24.
Yeah, you're going to score. You're going to have to score some points this year because the defense, as you said, it's not going to be top 5 in the SEC.
No.
They're going to give up points. So, all right, I like it at 35-17 for now. I like yours at 31-14. I think somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
I'd be happy if I'm an Auburn fan with either one of those two. Like I said, the one thing I'm looking for this week is control.
Yeah.
Control the game. I think Auburn against this Cal team should be able to control the game from what little we've seen, and I would be disappointed if they don't.
Yeah. I think Auburn going over 30, keeping Cal under 20. Both those to me would be great indicators. If you're under 30 or if they're over 20, it'd be okay, but I'd love to keep them under 20 and I'd love for Auburn to go over 30 and I'd feel pretty decent.
Well said.
Yeah.
I think that's a realistic goal and an encouraging sign if in fact they do.
Well, it'll be fun. Should be a great day. Should be really nice weather, 84 degrees. Humidity at kickoff is going to be relatively low, so Cal's kind of lucking out. I think it might be humid in the morning, but by game time, it's going to feel pretty good. So they're not coming into a 94-degree sweltering heat September day. We'll see how many Cal fans showed up. I saw a funny argument happening on Twitter from Cal fans. They're like, well, we're not coming because – Auburn's not like Texas is a cool trip and Ole Miss is a cool trip. And we like to go to really cool places. And so we just don't think like literally this dude was it was like one of their main fans on Twitter with thousands of whatever. And he's like, I'm like, well, that just makes you stupid because everybody else comes to Auburn. Like when 9,000 Oklahoma fans show up in a few weeks, I guess who have never been to Auburn, I guess they're just dumb, and you guys are the smart fans that only go to cool places.
Sure. Oh, for sure.
Or your fan base blows. Could be
maybe. Hey, don't forget Prize Picks. Go to Prize Picks, download the app, go to prizepicks.com, use that promo code Auburn Live, all one word, no spaces. You will receive that guaranteed $50 once you play $5 in lineups. prizepicks.com/Auburn Live or download the app.
Sweet. AuburnLive.com. Go subscribe. And then go check out the Auburn Live YouTube Plus, the Auburn Live YouTube channel, the Plus, $3 a month right there. And you get you a lot of additional content. And then, of course, AuburnLive.com and subscribe. And we appreciate you. We'll see you guys after the game.